This program is produced by Eagle Mountain Apostolic Resource Center. To find additional episodes of this program, as well as other content, visit eaglemountain.tv.
Hey everybody, welcome to Together We Build. My name is Mr. Sin.
You apish, beast-eating abomination.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, here we go. What is a group of pigs called?
A potluck?
How are you doing there, Foxy? Finding out what you're doing after this show. Maybe we could go grab some drinks or something. What do you say?
No, thanks.
I for sure will go in there to get that. Give me that thing.
No, it's not safe in my shirt.
Right here.
From you.
Hey everyone, welcome to Together We Build. My name is Chris Behnke. I'm here with Prudence O'Haire and Buckley. I don't know if you can see him over there, but that's Buckley right there. And he is hopefully going to be a good boy today. This is part 2 of a 2-part series on giving and receiving feedback. And we're going to get into that really quick. But first, you got to do this trivia.
Yeah, we're only going to do a couple.
No, listen, I did amazing last time. I did incredible. So I think you should let me read them to you this time.
Nope. I'm in control of the trivia cards.
No, it's not.
Let's see. What keyboard shortcut is used to save a document?
That would be Command S on a Mac, and it would be Control S on Windows.
Okay, Control S.
So I gave you 2 answers.
You did. I'm impressed. Okay. What is the name of Jerry Seinfeld's neighbor and arch enemy who is a postman by profession in the TV show Seinfeld?
Newman.
Yes. Okay. In what city is LaGuardia Airport located?
Chicago. Wait, no, that's in New York.
What is in New York?
Hold on a second. LaGuardia. I've flown to LaGuardia many times. That's in New York.
It is in New York. Mm-hmm.
You threw me off.
Finally,
the look on your face made me doubt my answer.
Well, you should have doubted your answer. What is the world's largest retailer?
Largest retailer? Amazon.com.
Well, this says Walmart, but I'm going to say Amazon's probably right. I'm not sure when this game was made.
I'm looking this up. What is the world's largest retailer?
So we're going to hop right on back into this is our second part of Thanks for the Feedback. This is a book by Douglas Stone and Sheila Heen. I actually found this book in the airport free library.
It's saying that Walmart is bigger than Amazon.
Well, beats me.
90% of Americans live within 10 miles of a Walmart. And Walmart is opening 150 new stores over the next 5 years.
Okay. Well, there you have it. It's bigger than
trivia.
Amazon.
In 2023, Walmart's revenue was $628 billion.
Whoa. That's a lot.
Almost 90% of that coming from domestic sales. Okay, hit it. That was crazy. That is crazy.
That is crazy. Okay. So
10,569 stores in 19
All right.
countries.
We're done with the Walmart trivia. We're moving on to
feedback. It's blowing my mind. That's blowing my mind.
Okay. So
would you like to give me feedback on this button?
I will give you feedback on the button, but we're not going to waste time on this show doing it.
Hit it.
So I found this book in the library, the free library inside our local airport. And it's been great. I actually read it to my teenagers who are in high school because we homeschool them and they need to know these things. Set them up for more success right? Okay. So last show we talked about the importance of knowing how to give and knowing how to receive feedback. There's two different inputs, and there's an input and an output. So the importance of getting a hold of feedback is that we can do better in whatever it is that we're doing when somebody else gives us feedback. And a lot of times that's going to look like criticism. Depending on how we're going to interpret it as that. But when we pay somebody for lessons, they're giving us feedback on how we're doing. They're teaching us something. So getting feedback is actually us learning about how to do something better in a lot of cases. But we need to know how to give it. Because, a lot of us just slime each other with negative things and we don't even think about how it's going to feel to the other person.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing for us to learn, is how that affects somebody else. Also, being honest with being able to deliver feedback is really hard for some of us. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to be saddled with having to explain ourselves. We don't want to be that guy or that woman that's a whiner and complainer, but sometimes it's necessary. And sometimes God says, you need to give some feedback here.
Yeah.
You need to say, because we don't know what we don't know. Mm-hmm. And so it's important that this gets well-rounded and smoothed out in all of us. Okay. And I think that it's probably definitely within our life's journey that we're learning how to give and receive this, but we can definitely get better the more that we know and understand. So I highly recommend this book. You can get it on Amazon, I think.
Thanks for the feedback.
Thanks for the feedback. Okay. So we're going to just jump back into this. And one thing that I did want to say in the last show and didn't get an opportunity to, but I wanted to talk about, as parents, I think it's important for us to learn how to hear feedback from our kids. Now, when familiarity occurs in relationships between husband and wife, between kids and their parents, there could be a lot of disrespect that's grown there. A lot of disrespect. And we all know what this looks like and feels like. And it's not the way that we're supposed to be and live according to how God has designed us. It's not the way that we're supposed to treat each other. So I recognize, as a parent to 4 children, and what I'm saying, we're almost done raising our 4 children completely.
Wait, what do you consider done?
I mean, they've hit the 18 mark.
So 18.
18, I think. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're always going to be their parent, but you shift gears into different relationships.
Mercedes turns 18, we're going to just be like, high five.
Yeah. You shift gears into different relationships. And so,
do you think I'll get an award?
No, I don't. I think that
Give myself an award.
It's important to take time to hear what your kids have to say. And it's hard to do that in heated conversations when you're mad at them, when they're throwing zingers out disrespectfully or in some format of that. It's hard to hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
It does help us as parents to be humble in our relationships with the humans that God's entrusted us with. It shows our kids that their thoughts and feelings matter. It shows our kids we are not a dictatorship, but they are in our guidance and care. Mm-hmm. And we're respecting them and value them for who God is developing them into. It helps stop rebellion and attitude problems within the parenting part of raising your kids. Treating our kids as if they have no voice, no rights, no feelings and thoughts is a sure way to raise kids that have a lot of emotions negatively stuffed in them. Mm-hmm. They just have no outlet to put their feedback into.
Yeah.
And it's, you can see that parents who aren't hearing their kids' feedback, their kids are making snarky remarks to other parents about their own parents. Like a lot of that slips out and it's going to come out somewhere. So,
I think that's important to recognize that it's going to come out.
it is, it's going to come out. It's an invitation, not being capable of hearing feedback from your kids is an invitation for a really seething disdain and resentment.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think that it's important for us as parents to slow down and recognize that when our kids are having issues or problems, that we need to hear them out. They are a human being and we need to respect them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that our kids push us around, tell us what to do, and they're in charge and all of that. That's not what I'm saying. But there has to be some level of mutual respect between us where we can have a conversation and it not blow up.
What does that look like?
If we're noticing that our kid is been acting up lately, they're having outbursts, like there's something going on inside them that isn't right.
Right.
And they need to get that out and put it into the proper trash can. And if it doesn't come out, it's going to grow. It's going to fester. It's going to create more
Build
problems.
resentment.
It's going to come out somewhere like a volcano.
That's the thing. That's the thing that is so important to understand is that sometimes I think we can get in these modes where like, well, I mean, seems like everything's fine. Trust me, it's going to build up and it's going to come out.
Yeah.
It's going to ooze out.
Yep.
In the most unfortunate ways.
Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that got included on this episode because I really think that it's important for us as parents to be able to treat our children with respect. They're human beings too.
Yeah. And
we're teaching them how to have conflict and accept feedback and give feedback in relationship.
Yeah, that's super good.
So anyway, there's some triggers that block feedback, and in page 15 and 16 of this book, and this book is got a lot of meat in it. I can tell you, it's like not really one of those you probably want to read super fast. There's a lot of feedback triggers. Our heart pounds, our stomach clenches, our thoughts race and scatter. We usually think of that surge of emotion as being in the way, a distraction to be brushed aside, an obstacle to overcome. After all, when we're in the grip of a triggered reaction, we feel lousy, and the world looks darker, and our usual communication skills slip just out of reach. We can't think, we can't learn, and so we defend, attack, or withdraw in defeat.
Yeah.
I think it's important to actually analyze and look at the subject of feedback in a more clear way before it hits us. I mean, it's one of those things that we don't.
You mean be purposeful about it in advance?
We have to be purposeful about it in advance because we're getting hit with this every day in all sorts of types of formats.
Yeah.
And if we're not aware of what is coming and what to expect, we're going to be side blinded, just like what I just read.
Yeah,
and we're going to defend, we're going to attack, we're going to withdraw, and pushing our triggered reactions aside or pretending they don't exist is not the answer.
Yeah.
Trying to ignore a triggered reaction, first identifying its cause is like dealing with a fire by disconnecting the smoke alarm. So, triggers are obstacles, but they aren't only obstacles. Triggers are also information, a kind of map that can help us locate the source of the trouble.
That's good.
So understanding our triggers and sorting out what set them off are the keys to managing our reactions and engaging in feedback conversations with skill. So the 3 feedback triggers that we often run into, truth triggers is one. Mm-hmm. And they're set off by the substance of the feedback itself. It's somehow off, unhelpful, or simply untrue. In response, we feel indignant, wronged, and exasperated. Miriam experiences a truth trigger when her husband tells her that she was unfriendly and aloof at his nephew's bar mitzvah.
And so if she believes that that's untrue, that's triggering, and then she can't receive the feedback.
Unfriendly?
What?
Was I supposed to get up on the table and tap dance? This feedback is ridiculous. It is just plain wrong. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is one trigger that we reject because we don't see it in our own glasses of what should have been appropriate.
Right.
We're not able to hear how somebody else perceived it.
Right.
Okay, the next one is a relationship trigger. And they are tripped by the particular person who is giving us the gift of feedback. All feedback is colored by the relationship between giver and receiver. And we can have reactions based on what we believe about the giver. They've got no credibility on this topic, or how we feel treated by the giver. Mm-hmm. After all I've done for you, and this is the kind of petty criticism, our focus shifts from the feedback itself to the audacity of the person delivering it. Are they malicious or just stupid?
Both, typically.
Okay.
Sheesh.
So I think that this is also that familiarity thing too, where a lot of times we can't, you could see this a lot in marriage relationships and kids and parents, even grandparents probably mixed in with that, or super close friends. And we just can't hear feedback from them because we just have this perceived thing that they don't know anything, or we've decided that their opinion doesn't matter.
Right.
And so we automatically just throw it out and they become stupid.
Right.
Okay. And the third one.
13 minutes.
Identity triggers. Okay. So identity triggers focus neither on the feedback nor on the person offering it. Identity triggers are all about us. Whether the feedback is right or wrong, wise or witless, something about it has caused our identity, our sense of who we are, to come undone.
Yep.
We feel overwhelmed, threatened, ashamed, or off balance. We're suddenly unsure what to think about ourselves and question what we stand for. When we're in this state, the past can look horrible and the future bleak. That's the identity trigger talking. And once it gets tripped, a nuanced discussion of our strengths and weaknesses is not in the cards. We're just trying to survive. Okay, so I would think that this one is kind of deeper set. Also, depending on our types, this one will come to the forefront.
Yeah.
How we've been taught.
Wait. What do you mean by according to our types?
The Nexus profile. So within the Nexus profile.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, if I'm a high stabilizer, which I am, if you start attacking me or I perceive you to attack me about my knowledge on something.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I am going to take it personally.
Yeah. So it's more of a sensitive trigger area based on your motivational drivers.
Right.
Yeah,
but also
sure,
I think that this is also a part of our family of origin, how we were taught how to handle feedback and not see it as something that we can just take objectively and hold for a minute before actually, putting into our system.
Right.
So our triggers are obstacles because they keep us from engaging skillfully in the conversation. Receiving feedback well is a process of sorting and filtering, of learning how the other person sees things, of trying on ideas that at first seem a poor fit, of experimenting, and of shelving or discarding, here we are, the parts of the feedback that in the end seem off or not what you need right now.
Wow.
So it's not just the receiver who learns. During an effective conversation, the feedback giver may come to see why their advice is unhelpful or their assessment unfair, and both parties may understand their relationship in a clarifying light. They each see how they are reacting to the other, showing a way forward that's more productive than what either imagined before. But it's nearly impossible to do any of this from inside our triggers. And so we make mistakes that cause us to put potentially valuable feedback into the discard pile. Or just as damaging, we take to heart feedback that is better left at the curb.
Wow.
So these guys aren't talking about spiritual discernment here, but this is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Really, right?
Totally.
Is allowing the Lord to help us sort and sift out the feedback that's coming at us that maybe isn't sounding so unpleasant.
Yeah.
But really asking him, is this something that I need to change? Is this actually true about what I do or what I need to be doing? So I think that is a huge part of feedback in being a Christian.
Yeah.
Is because we're going to get a lot of it, and we all know it because we experience it every single day. And I would like to touch base on one more thing here,
Which like 9 minutes.
Actually has been very helpful, I think. And I think that all of the people that are watching our show probably can see themselves in this too. But in this book, they talk about something called switch tracking. So when we get started in a feedback game of, hey, I don't like,
this is in theory. It's perfect.
I don't like the way that you do the dishes. And now he's getting feedback because I just gave him feedback. And what he's throwing now back at me is something that is not about the dishes.
Yeah.
What is it that you're throwing back at me?
It's about the laundry, obviously.
Okay. But
that's a switch track.
But the thing of this is, and this is incredible because how many of us get going in arguments, conversations, and that turn into arguments, that turn into long arguments and conversations. I don't know about you guys, but we've had our share of long argumentative conversations where we're trying to understand what the other one is saying. We think we're on the same track and we're totally not. I'm talking about this and he's talking about this. And it's like the trains are just doing this and we're going for hours doing this. We're on entirely different tracks, but we think that we're here.
Yeah, I mean, a better example than dishes to laundry would be dishes, and then what I hear maybe is you're unorganized.
Yeah. Well, and I also I was going to do this object lesson, but I didn't get a hold of something in time. And what I was going to do for a word picture so people could understand is having like 2 different flavors of candy. Okay. And we each put, like, I'll say strawberry, you put chocolate in. But we both think they're the same. But the wrappers are the same, right? So we think that we're both chewing on the same flavor of candy.
Right.
And we're describing to each other the flavor that's in our mouth.
Mm-hmm. And we're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's not like that at all.
Yeah. Like, no. You're completely wrong. It's like it's like we think we're here, but we're not. Right. And we've got 2 different arguments, 2 different feedback strands going at the same time. This happens all the time.
This happens literally
the same time, not realizing it.
Yeah.
And so we spend and waste a lot of time not accomplishing and solving the issue of the one that started it all because the other person has hijacked it and went a completely different direction.
By the way, usually not knowing that that's what happened.
Yeah, no, we completely are unaware that we're doing this, but it actually stretches out our time of trying to sort it out because we haven't realized that this has happened. Mm-hmm. And so I think coming into this information and this knowledge has been really helpful as we begin to see, no, we need to stay on the same strand. Mm-hmm. This is the topic that we're talking about, not this. We'll get to this if we need to. Yeah. But let's solve this one first. Stay over here with me.
Yeah, it's really...
And don't jump around because...
It's surprising how quick you can right over.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was very helpful, and it should be very helpful to anyone that's watching this, but I would highly recommend just getting this book and checking it out and smoothing the edges on how you receive and give feedback as a whole.
You have, like a laser,
Gone straight to the heart of the issue.
gone straight. No, like you have, I haven't had to say much. I'm just kind of following along on all these notes, wondering how you're going to wrap this up in 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Well, I think that, we all need to have a growth, cultivated growth identity. And this
What do
is
you mean
about,
by-
well,
what do you
this is
mean
what we
about
talk
growth
about a
identity?
lot on this show.
Well, I know, but maybe they've never
Yeah,
seen that before.
but
What do you mean growth identity?
In the main crux of giving and receiving feedback well, we got to learn how to do this, and we have to have a heart to want to learn, which means we've got to have a growth mindset in our identity.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of who we are is that we grow, we learn, we do new things.
Yeah.
And when, as Maya Angelou said, most famously, when we know better, we do better.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a part of feedback, really.
Yeah.
And I think that there is a lot to learn about this particular topic, and it affects us greatly in our lives. How we give it, how we receive it, what we accept from the giver, how it changes us, how we let it change us and mold us, because we have the ability to not listen to it and to listen to it. And we need the Holy Spirit's guidance and discernment to know when we should be accepting feedback and changing and pivoting. Not everything everybody says to us is going to be right.
Totally.
It's not going to be right, and it's not going to be okay.
Right.
And we can't let that come into our system and accept that as truth, because it damages us.
So discernment.
Discernment is really important, along with learning the work that people like this have done and put into. Like they've cut out so much time for us to, like, we don't need to
100%.
go and reinvent the wheel on everything.
Right.
If we can get a hold of materials that help bring language and new ways of learning and teaching and pair it with what the Lord has to say, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. And I think this topic, by the way, we just did 2 episodes, and I think that's like 3% of that book.
No, I know. It's packed.
So I would say a couple things. First of all, this topic is one of the most important things that we can learn. So we do work with companies from all over the world, all different kinds of companies, nonprofits, for-profits, Christian, non-Christian. And in these companies, what I have found to be true nearly 100% of the time is most of the problems that the organization has outside of like supply chain and business concept is communication between the people, which almost always has to do with the way feedback is given and received, or the lack of it. Also massive, the lack of it.
Yes.
People just not being willing to give feedback. And then we've also, with the work that we do with the Human Nexus, which is where we talk about the Nexus profile, you can go take the Nexus profile for free by going to thehumannexus.com. The work we do with that company, we do workshops, we do, marriage workshops, we do business workshops, we do leadership workshops, we do workshops for organizations. And I would say that the number one issue that the people that attend those workshops also have is the inability to give and receive feedback really well. And so this creates misunderstandings and conflict. So, which is also true if you avoid the feedback. So understanding and learning how to give and receive feedback well is one of the most important things you can do to bolster your ability to interact with the humans around you. And it doesn't matter if you don't even like people. We have to be around people.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna ever step into what God has for you, you're gonna have to learn how to work with people.
Yep.
And so I'm glad that we did these 2. But what I would say is it's like this much.
Yeah.
It's like this much.
Yep.
It's like this much. So I would say for sure, hold up the book again.
Yeah.
We'll put the link in the
This is just to whet your appetite.
It's called Thanks for the Feedback. Thanks for the feedback. That is the timer. So we're pretty much out of time. Final thoughts.
Learning how
Go get the
to
book.
accept.
Go get the book.
Go get the book. This will be the most helpful thing for you.
Now,
And
is that a Christian book?
it isn't a Christian book. This is not a Christian book. They're not going to be talking about the Lord in this book. I don't know what other things you might find in this book, but the basic premise is to help us get our thinking caps on and see that we may have some issues with accepting and giving feedback.
Yeah.
And we need to polish those.
Yep. We need to deal with it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me right now?
Yep.
So, Prudence, thank you for digging into that. Again, get the book. We'll put the link to that book. You can buy it on Amazon in the show notes. Go check it out. It's definitely worth it. If you are just stumbled onto this and you're like, what? This is part 2? You got to go see part 1. You can go to chrisandprudence.com and you can see all the episodes of this show, which is called Together We Build. They're all there. We're in our 4th season, so there's tons of amazing content. Super awesome. You can also find out everything else we're doing with our ministry at chrisandprudence.com. So check that out there. If you want to take the Nexus profile for free, which you do, go to thehumannexus.com. You can check that out. If you would like to find other programs, this is produced by Eagle Mountain TV. So you can go to eaglemountain.global. You can find a ton of other amazing resources, and I highly recommend that you do that as well. So like, subscribe, do all the things. We want to hear your feedback. So definitely hit the contact button. Let us know what you think. Put it in the comments. Let us know what you think of this episode. Take a second and share it out to all your friends. And other than that, I think that's it. So I guess we'll see you on the next episode. See you around.
All right.